Incoming transmission.
Picture this. A recording studio somewhere far, far away.
Welcome, Watchers of Illusion, to my Castle of Confusion on the 21st of May. We're looking at Joust on the Commodore 64 today, and I actually quite like this arcade, so it'll be interesting to see what they've done with it. So let's kick off and see how we get on. Wave 1. Well, the layout looks exactly the same as the arcade, so that's quite good. The C64 technically should do a fairly good version of this. So I'm quite looking forward to doing this one. It's probably going to be a short review because there's not actually much to Joust. My character is the guy with the sort of red shirt on at the top of the screen. I'm not sure why they didn't recolour the actual bird as well. That would have been a little bit better, but the only thing I'm disappointed with so far is the lack of sound. There is sound, but it's not very good. So that's a bit of a shame. The collision detection also on the platforms is a little bit rough, but oh well. The controls are fairly simplistic as they were on the arcade as well, so it's left and right. Using your fire button to flap. Yes, flap, gentlemen. The idea is basically to knock the other riders off their birds and collect the eggs before they hatch into new riders, and then you have to start all over again. So there we go. Everything seems intact so far, the survival waves and all that as well. I mean, it's fairly good for a one-screen game anyway, but it's a bit hit and miss as to when you get knocked off your mount, like there, for example. It's sometimes it's a bit hard to get exactly what you want to do to knock the other guys off of their mounts, but so far so good. It's I think, to be fair, I prefer the arcade, but then, you know, normally the arcade does have that little bit of an edge over the home conversions, of course. Disappointed that there's no music. That would have been quite nice to have had a soundtrack at least to bop along to while you were knocking all these guys off their birds. But, you know, other than that, it's not that bad at all. It's just a bit slow as well. The flapping animation, the actual flapping on the buttons is a little bit delayed, strangely enough. You can hammer your fire button all you like, but it doesn't seem to make much difference. In fact, I've resorted to just using a one button every now and again method. That seems to work a little bit better than just trying to blitz your fire button. Getting stuck on the scenery, again, that can be a little bit annoying, as you can probably imagine, but not too bad. Home conversions are always hit and miss, I find, with the home systems. Pac-Land on the ZX Spectrum, for example, went from a side-scrolling arcade to a single screen at a time conversion, which didn't really work, and it was frustrating. This is kind of suffering a little bit from collision detection and, again, lack of sound. I know sound shouldn't really be a massive thing. I know it's all about the gameplay. However, when you've got no sound at all, and you've got a machine here that's more than capable of knocking out a few tunes, even if there wasn't music in the arcade game. Well, there's the unbeatable pterodactyl, by the way. Don't try and take him on, because he literally is unbeatable. So you be careful with him. But yes, I would have liked to have seen a soundtrack added to this game, even if it wasn't official. That would have been quite nice. But never mind, I'm nitpicking at the moment. Graphically, it's not too bad. It's I would have thought we could have maybe got a little bit better for a C64, but it's not terrible. I mean, it's identifiable as Joust. I think I'm going to have to do the arcade version as well at some point, so you guys can actually see the difference. Maybe do a side-by-side comparison or something like that. But there, it's all right. I mean, there's sound effects when you hit the flat button, and there's sound effects when you hit things and collect things. But again, it's so few and far between. It's a bit of a shame, really. But there you go. C64, the machine that a lot of people will argue was better than the Spectrum. In some respects, it was better than the Spectrum. The SID chip obviously was a massive difference against the AY chip of the Spectrum. But some of the games on the Specky were better. So there we go. It's one of those age-old battles. C64 versus Amstrad and Spectrum. Then you'll find that people will argue the Amstrad's better, some people argue the Spectrum's better, but to be honest, they were all pretty damn good systems anyway. It all depended on what games you had. Like Robocop on the C64 was abysmal, and so was Double Dragon, which I will have to dig out of the archives and have a go at as well. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been Joust. I apologise, it's a short review, but there's not much to it. But I'm just, there you go. We're right at the top of the scoreboard, can't go wrong with that. Anyway, I wish you well. I hope that you will tune into the next video, and I shall bid you farewell. Remember to keep it retro, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye for now.